we start over again? I think I start over.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Start over.
In just a second.
Go ahead.
We're good to go.
Good morning. I would like to call the March 14th, 2025 Special City Council meeting to order. I would like to point out that this meeting is being hosted through live stream on the city's website. I would like to remind council to have their microphones turned on and positioned so the audience can hear. City Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Krupa.
Here.
Councilmember Lodge.
Here.
Councilmember, Councilmember Males.
I think I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick.
Here.
Mayor Peterson.
Here.
All members are present.
The invocation will be by Christian Tikas, after which Council Member Lodge will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. We thank you, Father, for a beautiful day that you are amidst it all. Your word says that if we lack wisdom, that we are to ask our Heavenly Father, who gives all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to them when they ask. So we ask, Father, for your wisdom today as we conduct your plan of action for the city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Would you please face the flag and put your right hand over your heart? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is a 3-minute per person time limit for all general public comments. All who wish to speak, including council members and staff, need to be recognized by the mayor before speaking. Please state your name and the item you are commenting on before speaking. We will take public comment for items listed on the agenda. Are there any comments?
Mayor, there are no public comments.
We will now move to our discussion items. City Manager, may we please have a report on the discussion items?
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our 2025 goal setting workshop. This is the point in time each year where we begin to set ourselves into an organizational plan for the work that we hope to accomplish in the next fiscal year. This is the focus of today's session. This is an attribute, annual goal setting is an attribute of a highly effective legislative body. And so I want to congratulate this council on taking the time to set priorities and work early at setting those priorities. So when we look at we're going to look a little bit backwards, but I think we should begin with some of the comments that I made at the beginning of last year's session. As you know, I consulted a great philosopher, the internet, and what the internet told us in 2024 was that strategic planning is the delicate balance between dreaming big and not being able to afford it. And that may be more relevant this year than it was last year. But as you know, our staff is committed to continuous improvement. And so this year we consulted a different philosopher, the philosopher ChatGPT. And the ChatGPT philosopher took this to the next level. And so I'm prepared to share a limerick with you this morning as we set the table for 2025. When city councils set goals with flair, the city's future becomes quite fair. With plans in their sights, they light up the nights. That's for you, Tom. Guiding progress with wisdom and care. Does that work for everyone?
Dr. Seuss?
I know that today is also Pi Day, so wouldn't it be appropriate to ask ChatGPT to share with us a little bit about the blend between, or the mixture, the congruence of Pi Day and strategic planning, right? Is that okay if I proceed with that? A planner in Hemet did say, on Pi Day will pave the way. With strategies bright and goals in our sight, we celebrate in a mathematical way. Not bad. Got to give it to ChatGPT. So again, this is the day where we're going to begin working on setting priorities for the coming year. We're going to discuss how priorities fit with the organization's capacity and definitely budget constraints before we finalize this. So this is a sequential step. This is the first step in this sequential process that will bring you in future council meetings before the end of the fiscal year. And we're going to agree on how progress will be monitored and reported. We'll cover that at the end of today's session. So this is our agenda. We're going to recap last year's workshop and accomplishments. We're going to review again the council's vision and mission statements. We're going to discuss the strategic plan goals, the larger 3-year goals. The goals, these 5 goals, are really the 3-year direction that we're headed. And then we're going to work on developing the 25-26 strategic plan action items. That's the work plan, work that we can accomplish in a 12-month period. We're going to go through the same air, water, chocolate exercise that we did last year. We'll talk more about that. We mentioned the monitoring, the reporting, and then we'll wrap up and discuss next steps. So as we did last year, here are some proposed workshop ground rules. Listen to understand, assume good intent, seek consensus, stay focused, and definitely enjoy the conversations and the discussions. Does that work for everyone? Okay. All right. We also have a bike rack. Bike rack's over here. There's a small bicycle, I think, in the image over there. Thank you, Kathy. But this is a bike rack. It's a time management tool, so if there's something that requires some follow-up, we're going to track it on that bike rack over there. And last year, I don't think we had anything at the end of the day, but it's there for use if we need it. Okay, just to recap last year's strategic planning, it was held on April 3rd, 2024. So we're actually about 3 weeks ahead of where we were last year. And last year we were 2 months ahead of where we were the first year I was here. We ended up with 39 staff and council action items identified and ranked. This document is really what we're ultimately going to produce that will come out of this workshop. What you have here is a incomplete Q3 update. So we will work over the next 3 weeks. We're still in Q3. So on your April 8th council meeting, we will be bringing you the Q3 update. This is a work in progress, but it's good reference material for you today. When the council has a balanced and certainly a prioritized work plan, it provides helpful guidance to staff so we understand what your highest priorities are. And we want to make sure that we align all of the ad hoc assignments to our strategic plan action items. So we'll go through that process when this comes back to the council at a later date. We're going to begin, as we did last year, with a look back at what's happened over the last 12 months. And it's been fun looking back. I've watched the video from this meeting several times now in the last week. And some of the ideas that were discussed as concepts are literally being approved by you and implemented by this council right now. At your last meeting, a couple of those items happened. So this is exciting because we're setting the table for what's coming next year. But we want to begin with, and I have a couple of scribes that have donated their time today, right? That's Brenda and Christian. They're going to be recording on two of these notepads successes that this organization has had over the past 12 months. We want to begin with our council, get some ideas from you, and then I want to invite our staff to jump in to that conversation. We don't have to go in order. This is really a free-for-all type of conversation, free-flowing. So we're looking for, and are we prepared to write down these now? Okay, let's go. So I'll open the floor in no particular order. If you want to share one of the successes that you're proud of, that you recall over the past 12 months, this is the time we want to capture that information.
skate park 12 months? No? Yeah.
Your successes over the last 12
I think
months?
I think this skate park was the prior year.
Council.
Prior year?
On the
Okay.
council,
Prior year.
whatever you-
But we're doing more with the skate park now. We did have some lights added this year.
Yeah, somebody got lights.
Yes, the skate
Somebody
park had
got
the
lights.
lights added and
Solar.
it'll have a shade cover by the end of the
Street.
fiscal year.
I don't know if the housing element was on there, but I think that was definitely a success.
2.0
Housing element.
version.
I like that we've been hiring more officers for our police force. And the great job the fire's done with putting out fires locally.
And actually just hiring other staff. I mean, we're definitely beefing up on staff.
So, Brenda, I think you're capturing the hiring of the police officers, and Christian, you can capture the fire comments.
I'm happy with the accomplishments we've made with the CIPs and improving our streets and doing the best we can with the little amount of money that we have, because we all know it's very expensive to repair streets. So that was a big deal that we put in more money and got some more things accomplished.
Another day open for the library?
Opening up of the parks, Brubaker Park for our local leagues. Hemmett's back with softball and baseball, so.
Opening leagues there, Brenda and Christian. I can't read what you just wrote. Street.
Numerous
I'll
potholes.
just say that there were 7 street CIP projects
street.
completed this fiscal year.
7 street projects completed this year. 7 separate CIPs. We had 33 CIPs coming out of this workshop last year total, and 7 of those were dedicated street improvements.
We also had the economic strategic plan, Hammett Rises, the first one in our city. Very proud of that one. Thank you.
Hammett Rises economic plan.
We also had the training, so I noticed in the warrant register, we do have staff going to training, but we also are training, we trained our planning commissioners. They went to the Planning Commissioners Academy, was it last week or the week prior? But, I mean, having our representatives that are making land use decisions, I think having that several-day training is very important. So I think that was something I brought up last year.
Thank you.
A lot
Okay.
of new stuff from IT that's confused most of us.
Scott, you want to itemize a couple of those for the record?
Sure. We've replaced the city's telephone system. We replaced the city's network. We replaced the Wi-Fi access in all the city buildings. We incorporated Arctic Wolf, our managed response as far as security on our networks.
Brenda, did you capture, I think I heard 4 separate projects?
Are we also upgrading the audio in the chamber?
That's next. That's next.
And the lighting.
We had our first inaugural Hemet Beautiful, and along with that, we had a citywide beautification contest. So we're trying to clean up our city and make people more proud of where they live and have a little more respect for what they own.
And the Christmas decorating?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
awesome.
Christmas
Getting-
decorating contest,
yeah,
yes.
Getting the community involved in how great our city really is.
And I'm happy with the city that we're actually not changing, but moving towards trying to get activities for kids, because we have more younger families moving in with kids, so we're implementing more projects that will keep them busy and off the streets.
The police aero team?
Police Aero Team.
Along with the police stuff, new technology, the
Yeah, the-
Real-Time Information Center,
Real-Time Information Center.
community cameras, the Condors specifically.
Condor cameras.
And the Aero team, again, whoever mentioned that is doing a great job. They caught 2 taggers, which is really
That
great.
was a cool story.
That was really tearing the city apart, so.
2 people doing all that damage. Amazing.
They got 'em.
Little lowlifes.
Okay, Brenda, I think you need another page. Christian, you have a little room there. Anything else?
We received the mobile command center. Public Safety
Delivery
Mobile
of the
Command
mobile
Center.
command center for the police department and fire department.
New substation opened up this year.
New substation.
We also had our Chick-fil-A pop-up, along with a job lead section that has been created on our webpage, which puts all kinds of job leads in for job seekers, along with events. We really have grown our events around here. We were able to do the Silver Valley Kickoff, the Dia de los Muertos, an electric event. So we've been able to enhance our events in our community to really electrify our area.
We created a youth council, and we have applications open now for this coming year. So we want all of our youth to know that they can apply for that.
That youth council started here last year in this event. 3 weeks from now, a year ago, that really emerged from this workshop.
I think the communication all around is improved. I've noticed just with staff, and then also with the amount of public outreach we get at meetings, with our application process. It does seem like the community is more engaged, so I think that the communication that is occurring to our citizens, but also internally, has definitely improved, and I can say I appreciate that.
We have made sure that our employees are receiving our city update every 2 weeks to help them keep track of organizational successes and information. And Ben, I know we've talked recently about some growth in our social media platforms. Do you want to briefly mention some of that growth?
Absolutely. So that's a very good point there. Very good point, Vice Mayor. We were able to grow last year on the social media space. We're trying to catch up with PD, but we were able to add 3,000 followers to our social media on Instagram, a little over 7,000 on Facebook. So we've seen a very high growth in that area.
I believe police has moved from 50 to 70,000 now on Facebook in the last 2 years. Impressive, incredible.
Our employees were being brought to market equity for all of our employees.
That was a lot of work. That was a huge challenge, but it made a difference in the organization. It's helped our recruitment.
And also successfully negotiated with all the different bargaining units. So that was a huge effort as well.
New MOUs?
Yes.
We've
And,
had
we
traffic.
hired a total of 70 employees.
I know I asked this question last year, or I knew the answer last year, but how many separations did we have?
That I could pull up, but we did 70 new hires and 47 promotions or
Wow.
changes. So
Awesome.
that was huge.
And I think last year we were, was it 39 or 40, and we had about the same amount of separation. So I don't think that we're tying this year, so I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes, hopefully not, but since we're still capturing a little bit of the lag that we had, but yeah, the numbers will definitely, next year, the numbers will be really telling. We can be
And
able to
one thing
compare.
that I heard last night at the employee dinner is that actually Noah's wife mentioned that Noah worked for the county for 22 years, and not once did they have any events like the city of Hemet does to congratulate their employees and to let them know they're doing a great job, and she was really happy about that. Noah was happy also. So I think showing our employees that we care about them and we want to showcase them and to let everyone know that they're doing such a great job. I mean, that's something important. So
The acknowledgement of employees. Thank you.
Fire station upgrades
Fire station upgrades.
and the Fire Explorer program.
Let's talk
Awesome.
about those. We had a cadet program. Do you want to
Yes.
grab a microphone?
CTEX.
And the Women's Empowerment Camp.
You guys are awesome. Wow. So yes, Fire Station 1 remodel, which is on track, and we're scheduled to be back in there the third week of April as of right now. I believe it was already mentioned, but we surpassed 20,000 calls for service. Rescue Ambulance 4 is placed in service. That's a collaborative effort between the Hemet Fire Department and AMR. It's one of a kind, and it's going to add a ambulance to the residents of Hemet at no cost. And so that's another innovative thing that we're proud of. We're going to be fully staffed for the first time in our in recent history, so it's really a good thing. We purchased a new tiller truck, which was supposed to have been here now. Unfortunately, with vendor delays, it's coming in August. We've done security and tech upgrades at Covell. The Girls Empowerment Camp was mentioned, and we already have another sign-up list for this year. The Community Risk Reduction Cadet Program is about to start its second cohort. Internal battalion chief promotions for the first time since 2013, which is amazing. And that's Chief Vargas and Chief Excel. And then Squad 4 will be in service in June, which will be a second squad to the residents of Hemet, which is fantastic. Also, we added a 4th code officer, a 2nd building inspector, and we will have a new code manager very, very soon. Let's see. We also hired a new part-time EMS coordinator. That used to be a contract position. And then we also implemented business inspections with our on-duty engine companies.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chief.
We had several ordinance updates that support revenue enhancement, like the updated transient occupancy tax ordinance, which was passed by the voters, as well as updating our commercial cannabis program to allow retail sales. We also had several ordinance updates that support quality of life. So that included the commercial facade program, the shopping carts ordinance update, as well as signage at our parks.
We've added 9 new solar streetlights at some dark intersections. We've added field lighting at 2 fields at Brubaker Park, along with some ADA sidewalk improvements, and shade cover will be completed by the end of the fiscal year. We've modernized the elevators here at the library and the Simpson Center.
Did we get the lighting on the skate park also? That was done.
That's correct. I think Brenda got that on the first page.
Oh, okay, great.
We are implementing a new ERP that has a go-live date of July 1st. We also did hire HDL for our TOT oversight administration and audit for the motels. They have just completed the first 5 audits and had some very interesting findings.
Which we look forward to sharing with you.
To add on to the city attorney's comments, we've actually codified 18 ordinances and processed 143 resolutions to date so far. We've updated our legislative platform, and then a second plug on the youth council where we have open recruitment for that.
I'd like to mention that the library has a number of programs that we have expanded since November, and there's something going on here in the library just about every day. We have adult programming going on. We have a Little Wigglers in addition to story time. We're starting a book club today. Their inaugural meeting is going to be at 10 o'clock. So lots of exciting things are happening. And our friends funded a shade structure, which went up last week. And I can't wait to do we're going to open the patio to everybody.
Did we already mention the extra day that we're open? Yep. We did, okay, thank you. Why do I miss this stuff?
We are in the final stages here of presenting the electric billboards to the Planning Commission and Council. We're also going to be having a pretty big job fair on the 24th. That's something to be proud of still in this fiscal year. Along with enhancing our Business Connect, we've really taken that to another level in regards to having different speakers. And last but not least, putting ourselves on a regional level with the Hemet Economic Summit happening next week.
We contracted with a new benefits broker to provide enhanced and better services, and they are currently out to market to see if we could get enhanced, definitely dental insurance, vision insurance. So, new benefits broker.
Do we have anything on Chick-fil-A?
Ben mentioned Chick-fil-A earlier, right? But we do have future updates for you on that topic.
We completed a traffic calming project in Stony Mountain, a sewer main replacement project citywide, including Caltrans permit on Florida, which was very challenging. We have a water treatment plant that's in a design build process. We completed some upgrades on our La Familia stormwater pump and our Catalina stormwater pump stations.
Retained a state and federal lobbyist to help us with grants and other types of federal funding. And kudos to staff for all of the work you've put in on grants and the number of grants we've gotten with the police, the library, Public Works, everybody.
At this time last year, we had not heard back on the A6 grant, so the award of the A6 grant, $35 million, was essentially a success over the last 12 months.
We successfully obligated all of our ARPA funds by December 31st.
Yay!
I'd also like to mention that the council, in addition to the housing element, adopted the update to the safety element, which included a climate vulnerability assessment, in addition to creating a new chapter to the general plan, which was the environmental justice element.
We built out our organized retail theft team and actually kicked off operations this year. It didn't start, the remodel didn't start till this year, so we'll count that. We did kick off the remodel, and actually we got the date's gonna hopefully be done sooner than we thought, so I'm happy about that.
Yes, at the latest August, but hopefully it'll be this fiscal year.
That'd be great.
That shortens Scott's timeline on the audio, right? Okay, Scott.
One more thing, I guess, at the last, which this, it happened in Sacramento, and it brought Hemet to the forefront of Sacramento, which our council member won Woman of the Year award with State Assembly. So that put Hemet on the map, and that was great.
That was hard to get out.
I do know a couple of large buildings move forward to construction. They're are in a construction phase right now. The large warehouses on Kirby and Wentworth. I think I'm picking up some of your, what could have been your comments, right?
We've processed 520 public records requests, act requests to date. 520.
We established an arts and culture committee. So we're beautifying the city. We started the March of the Mastodons as an art and culture project.
We welcome over, I believe, 45 new businesses in our city last year, the likes of Dutch Bros, Tilly's, WSS, and Vallarta Market coming 2 weeks.
Tagging on to Councilmember Mail's comment, we successfully suppressed what is likely the largest fire in Hemet's history with no loss of life and no loss of structure. That's the Chambers fire.
That was awesome. Yep.
And also, we recently found out that as far as Hemet being trailblazers, that the city of San Marcos in San Diego County has now brought building and safety and code enforcement under the fire department. So interesting.
Very good.
That Chambers fire happened on a very windy night too, so even more credit to our firefighters.
Yes, it was.
Chambers. Is that all we've done?
I believe I saw a $9.5 million surplus on last year's budget. That's something to be proud of.
So what about the grant for the affordable housing project?
Is it the A6 grant,
Oh,
right?
okay,
The
sorry.
Palm Communities project,
Palm
right?
Community,
That
that's
was
awesome.
an incredible award. Very, very fortunate. We were only one of, I believe it was one of 18 agencies in the state of California that were awarded funding.
We had an RFP that went out for putting solar here at the library.
That's right. Solar for the library.
Oh, really?
All right.
We implemented multi-factor I can't say that word.
Authentication?
Yes. It's already been through the police department, and the remainder of the city is to come by end of fiscal year.
All right.
We have a badge reader security system for all of our city facilities that's in process. Will be done by the fiscal year.
I think Christian and Brenda's arms are getting tired now.
We completed a turf conversion project to drought tolerant at the courtyard.
We've identified potential station locations for fire stations 6, 7, possibly 8.
I know we're about to plant the Sierra Dawn median project, right? That's been approved. I think bids are out now.
Closes on the 24th.
We're also bidding Weston Park. The reimagination of Weston Park is out to bid right now with proposals due in early April.
Did someone say city branding as well? Or?
City branding came out of this workshop last year too. So the award of contract to North Star is the implementation of what happened literally in this meeting almost a year ago.
Morgan, I believe you previously mentioned that the Adopt a Streets number has increased?
That's right. At this meeting last year, we had 12 Adopt a Streets. We had lost one. We were at 12. Today, I'm proud to say we're at 20 and growing.
Yay.
We're also able to purchase a CoStar, which has allowed us to work with our property owners for those vacant buildings, set up meetings with them, and hopefully be able to fill those with tenants. So that was a big thing for the city.
The chiller here at the library has been replaced, and they are just finishing up the controls, so that's exciting.
How's the temperature?
Temperature feels great.
Did we repaint City Hall?
We're about to repaint City Hall.
Okay.
Maybe the Public Works Director can comment on timing. And
We
is there
have-
another attribute to that project, a special component to it?
There is. So we'll be painting City Hall. We've issued a PO already, so should be completed April, May. And then the other addition is we're adding new time and temp screens there. They'll be the new LED, but they'll look, have the amber lighting just like the old ones. So.
The public will be thrilled.
City Hall is back.
When that time and temp went out, everybody started complaining.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it wasn't accurate, they could see it. Yeah, it's good.
It's got to be accurate, though.
All right. I think that's actually a great one to end on, unless someone wants to add any other items.
We got Tom.
We got Tom. Tom has a great sense of humor. Tried to find a limerick about lighting up the night because we're going to light up Sierra Dawn here pretty soon, right?
That's it. I hope so. God knows I'm not awake.
Light it up again. All right. Well,
We also got Christian Tikas.
Christian was a concept. There was an offer, I think, just out the door about the time we had this workshop last year. That was what the comment was. But yes, Christian has joined us for the past 11 months or so.
It's been a great year.
All right. Well, we have a lot to be proud of. So let's give our everyone a round of applause. All right. We're going to type this up for everyone so that we can distribute this to the city council. It's good for you to have that in case people are asking questions, and it's healthy to look back and see those accomplishments. So why don't we put those on the wall behind, and we'll try to make them fit. I know you have a number of pages there. Now we're going to transition to a review of a couple of documents. Last year we did this second, and this is the right order today. So what we're going to do first is take a look at the mission and vision statements for the city. These are guiding statements that help us stay organized and help us move forward with an identification of tasks that would help us accomplish the mission and the vision. At last year's meeting, we talked about adding the word inclusivity into that mission statement. I've underlined that for you. Also, we clarified the article on I think capitalizing on opportunity. We added the word on, I underlined that. So the mission statement reads, the City of Hemet will be a destination of opportunity and empowerment for its residents, businesses, and visitors by capitalizing on opportunity, striving for growth, and promoting diversity, inclusivity, and respect for each member of our community. So what we want to do today, I should not have touched that. There we go. What we want to do today is check in with you to make sure that you feel comfortable with the way this reads today. So let me pause and let our council members reflect on that statement.
It's pretty solid.
Okay, it's looking like we're comfortable with it. Okay. So we did make one edit to the vision statement at the last workshop. And so this vision statement reads, the City of Hemet shall be a model of excellence in local government, a safe, well-planned, welcoming community with equal opportunity for all. We added the word welcoming.
Yeah.
I'm the grammar pessimist here, so I would.
You want to put a comma in there?
Yeah, I would put a comma after well-planned.
Yeah, I agree.
We can accommodate that edit, Mayor.
1750, but we'll accommodate you.
Okay, I'm sensing that there's comfort with the vision statement. Thank you. I'm trying to advance the slide. Not working. There we go. Okay, I can't read that from there, so I'm going to read it from here. These are the overarching strategic plan goals. If you look at the left column, quality of life, economic opportunity, community engagement, partnership and collaboration, and organizational effectiveness. It's those words that we want to focus on first. These are goals. Think of these as your guiding principles for really a 3-year horizon. And the action plan that we develop each year is the plan that helps to implement effort to enhance quality of life, seek economic opportunity, engage our community, etc. So we want to check in and make sure that we feel comfortable with these goals, these broader goals.
Mark, on an economic opportunity, do you think it would, having an objective to create and maintain relationships with our businesses so that if they have the opportunity to grow or add an additional location is, because I know I think having those relationships is very important, and after I went on my first business walk, I mean, that creates so much synergy. And so if we can have something in there about maintaining our relationships with our current businesses.
So the objectives are an area where I think it was an area of follow through that we potentially overlooked as an outcome of last year's meeting. We had 2 council members that we had volunteered to assist with taking a careful look at the objectives. And maybe that's another opportunity this year to include not only, I do like the suggestion, Mayor Pro Tem, because we have advanced a lot of effort in that front, and it's an important component. And I know that just through the business walks, it's led to new ideas and projects that are being implemented now. And so when we engage on that effort and we also speak with our businesses, we learn new things.
Right, and showing that we're not only focused on getting new businesses to come in. I think that goes a long way with our existing businesses that are, you know, providing services in our city.
One of the comments I made last year was when I looked at the objectives specifically, and maybe in terms of the goals, I felt that perhaps the public safety efforts were possibly underrepresented a bit. What we see under quality of life in Objective 3 is increased public safety visibility and response, but we know that we're all doing a lot more on that front. It doesn't, the reference to police and fire doesn't really necessarily come through too strongly on these objectives or even the overall goals, unless we understand, if we agree that it fits under quality of life. But I do see potential opportunity to have a couple of council members work together on revisiting these objectives in partnership with staff, and then presenting those at a future council meeting.
In looking at some of these, I mean, the one that Carol just brought up about supporting existing businesses actually runs into the partnership and collaboration with developing programs to support the community's businesses. So many of these do overlap when you look at them individually, but then look at them as a whole. It's a comprehensive program that the economic development goes with the partnerships, the organizational effectiveness. They're all connected in some way, but to expand and have those individual lines and goals in there, I think is extremely important and it really then connects with what we're trying to do.
Bullet points on there. Which is perfect. No, they're
Yeah.
good. They're good.
Keeps everybody's,
Same
it
one, yeah.
keeps your mind focused on where we're going and how we're getting there, and that there's more than one area of goals that affects different parts of the community, but also brings them together at the same time.
For partnership and collaboration on Objective 3, develop programs to offer support to the community's businesses. We have so many great nonprofits that we partner with now that we never saw a couple years ago, I think. So I would like to add, and nonprofits maybe to that too.
On the organizational effectiveness, Objective 1, to operate in a financially substantial manner, I'm wondering if there'd be an appetite to add sustainable and transparent. I know that, you know, our community is very engaged on how how we spend our money. And so being transparent, I think, would go a long way with the community as well.
Thank you.
You know, we do have a growing amount of youth in our city now, young families with kids, so we should have probably something more with the youth and providing more opportunities for the youth. We do have that. Where? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's where I got that from.
Okay.
You knew you had a good idea someplace.
Do you have anything, Tom?
I'm fairly good.
Only fairly.
Only fairly.
Okay.
I mean, I like it, but it's, I'm just going beyond this and the implementation of it all. You know, that's where my brain's going, so.
And that's where we're going to really get to next in terms of initiatives, right, to action toward these specific overarching goals and objectives. I've captured several notes. We've the suggestion to add an objective number 3 related to creating and maintaining relationships with businesses and nonprofits. Well, I'm sorry, the nonprofits comes later. Develop programs to support the community's businesses under partnership and collaboration and nonprofits. Adding the phrase "and transparent" to objective 1 in organizational effectiveness. Operate in a financially sustainable and transparent manner. We can make those edits, and if there's any council enthusiasm to further tackling this and bringing forward recommendations, we can also ask a couple of volunteers to work on that.
I think it's good.
I agree.
I'm okay
Okay,
with it.
great.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to set the table for the larger exercise that will follow. We're going to take a break before we get into that exercise. But let's talk briefly about some of the source material and the process that we're going to go through today. So what we've provided to you is a Q3, it's a work in progress, Q3 update on the progress associated with the current year work plan. We are getting closer to the end of Q3. We're still committed to moving through all of those initiatives with the highest priority on those with the highest level. On this wall here, I've identified a few items that it's under C, active items in progress from fiscal year 24-25 work plan. I do want to talk about these because these are items that I want you to be aware of will likely carry into or have the potential to carry into the following year a bit. But the elimination of the city's wrought iron security fencing requirement around commercial development, the city branding, the police cadet pipeline program, we were working on reorganizing that, engaging in designing and shovel-ready improvements to Weston Park. So I mentioned we're in the RFP phase now. Then we will further engage with a lot of stakeholder and community engagement on that with a design professional. And finally, shovel-ready Fire Station 2 expansion. So right now, we've initiated a contract with an architect who will begin designing the Station 2 addition to accommodate a squad. The following year, it will be the actual construction, finding the dollars and coordinating the effort to advance the construction of that project. So one of the source materials is the large update on Q3. You'll see that come back on April 8th. And this reference material Excel file is what you see on the walls here. So we just covered C. What's different about the A column here, ongoing items built in the current or prior years that require staff support. Last year, that list had 10 items on it. This year, that list has 20 minimum. I'm probably not even hitting all of them, but we've doubled the number of items that will need to have some form of staff support to sustain them. And several of them are great ideas that we see they'll come back and recur each year. So Ben mentioned the Economic Summit. We're calling this the inaugural because we anticipate wanting to do that again and be a leader in our region. But here's another example. On row 15 there, the Hemet AM, I should say Hemet AM 2025 skating tournament. This was an idea that came out of a business walk at the Hemet Valley Mall. Today, we're about to have a very well-attended May 23rd through 25th event at the skate park. But we expect that that's another example of something that's going to require some staff support to deliver in the following years. But so I want us to be mindful of the good work that we've done, but it does create ongoing responsibilities to sustain those efforts. And then finally, there are some non-work plan items that do require ongoing work. One of those is the Highway 79 efforts to seek funding for right now phase 1, but eventually phase 2 and phase 3 of the 79 corridor. Number 2, we are still in motion on a surplus property process associated with 3 approximately 5-acre parcels near between sort of the U-Haul and the LP Denny facility, both sides of the railroad tracks. So we're expecting to get the appraisals done soon, and then we'll be working with the city attorney to go through that surplus property process. At your next council meeting, we're providing you a report on annexation proposal. And so there will be some follow-up work that comes as a result of that, report. And finally, travel and expense policy adjustments. I think we still have some work to do on that front too. So that's just some context as we think about the next work plan. I think the challenge for us this year, and this is really an art, this is where we work together, the council and the staff, to try to find and build a right-sized work plan. So we have now, the context of this is we have more initiatives that we've launched that require sustainability, right, and staff support, many of which land on the smaller side of City Hall, right, the non-safety side of the budget where we have a limited number of staff. And we're also, we know, confronting some significant budget challenges next year. So ideas that generate revenue, sure, we want those on the work plan, but those that require some form of an expenditure, we probably need to be careful about those ideas over at least the next 12 months, right? We'll have a much more, unless they're one-time investments, if it's a one-time investment, we should be fine given the robust general fund surplus that we have. But if it's something that will cost money in future years on an ongoing basis, that's something that will be more challenging to deploy in the next 12 months. And so I say that in the context of before we ask you to write down a number of ideas, I think that's good context for us. So what we're going to do from a process standpoint, the right column here, is we're going to go through a brainstorming process. We're going to allocate as much time as needed. It's going to be at least 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of time where there are yellow squares. 11 inches by 11 inches. We're going to give you some pens to write on. We're going to let you talk. Eventually, we'll take all of your ideas, we'll put them up on this canvas here, and then we're going to have each council member introduce, as you put your ideas up, we're going to ask you to introduce your idea to your fellow council members and the staff. And once we're through with each of the council members introducing any ideas that they have, then we're going to work on identifying similarities. There will probably be some that can be consolidated. Eventually, we're going to need to refine that right over the next several weeks as we bring and build this work plan. We're going to need to refine the ideas that you have and eventually add accountability provisions. We want to define how do we measure success. We want to be able to articulate that in our work plan. We will eventually identify who are council members that want to be part of ad hoc efforts to help lift those initiatives forward. So we'll be adding those as we build out that work plan that we showed you earlier. Then we're going to get into just some dot exercises, these large dots here. Red, blue, and chocolate, brown. Red, these are the very valuable dots, followed by the blue dots, still very important, and the brown chocolate dots that we all really want, but sometimes are the nice to haves. But we'll talk more about those final details. But that currency, those dots are essentially currency, and this exercise is going to make you feel constrained, and that's exactly what it should do. It's going to be a little frustrating, but we're going to encourage you to talk amongst yourselves, negotiate amongst yourselves, maybe even trade dots with each other. Whatever you want to do in terms of how you strategically vote on the ideas that we'll see on this canvas. We'll encourage you to talk to staff in case you have questions or want some clarification. Staff, be prepared to assist our council members as they have questions and building ideas and also through this exercise on the wall. Any questions on where we're about to go? When we reconvene, we'll distribute pens and pads of yellow Post-it notes and refresh moving forward. Any questions? This is the fun part we're about to do. But it's probably time for another limerick, don't you think, before we hit the break? Would it be appropriate to share another limerick offered by our philosopher ChatGPT? There once was a council so keen, whose meetings were sharp and serene, but now it's time to rest, recharging our best. We'll reconvene when refreshed and pristine.
That would be next week when we're refreshed.
We'll take a break now for about 15 minutes, Mayor. Okay.
I'm still missing a phone.
There was one that actually was
So, I mean, there's not on like
Yes. I know.
All right, so we're going to reconvene. We don't have a limerick for reconvening, but maybe we can slip one more in before the end of the day, right? I was mentioning organizational capacity earlier, and I want to share some additional comments on that before we begin this exercise. When I look back at last year's presentation, I know I mentioned that organizational capacity is an issue in Hemet, particularly on the non-safety side of the house. So I think it's very important that we consider the number of items that we have requiring ongoing staff support. Even though our staff now work 20 hours a week, they're only allowed to sleep 4 hours. Is that right, staff? I guess they do want a couple of hours for sleep, but I had a city manager mentor who is still a mentor of mine. He helped facilitate a workshop like this a few years ago for me. And one thing he mentioned was, and he was explaining this to the council, and the staff were, I think, nodding their heads, but essentially the story was that, you know, the day job, just the emails, the telephone calls, things that occupy our time and part of our duties, you know, preparing financial documents on a regular basis, accounts receivable, accounts payable, negotiating contracts, hiring people, delivering projects for public works, et cetera. He explained that those duties typically occupy at least 85%, if not more, of everyone's time. And he essentially said that 15% of one's time, if it was even available, that's the area of your time where you can work on the work plan type of initiatives. His point was a lot of the work, it comes from the public, it comes in lots of different directions, it occupies a lot of our time. I know I'm receiving a lot of emails and trying to keep up with those. And sometimes those, a single email can lead to an hour's worth of work that's needed. So when we talk about building a work plan, we are working with limited capacity just in the context of the day job. So as we build this work plan for the next year, I think it's going to be critical that we consider carefully the organizational capacity. And as I mentioned last year, with fewer items, we can generally provide, with fewer items, we can add more time, and what you'll see come out will be likely a slightly better product, right, than if we're having to move a little faster with more items. And I know sometimes we will move items a little faster, and that comes with a bit of a risk of, either typos in the document or something like that, or we've missed a piece of building whatever that policy or program is. But we've tried to pace ourselves. I try to pace a lot of our organizational work plan, which is why it doesn't all launch on July 1. We pace things based on the capacity of different departments and things like that. So today we're going to work on prioritizing ideas, but it begins with identifying ideas that are actionable over a 12-month period. So we want ideas that don't take 3 years to accomplish. Let's break that 3-year idea. If we want to build soccer fields, we're going to begin with design. If there's an environmental phase, there might be an environmental phase. And then there's a construction phase. So with the soccer fields, They're now ending their design phase. We have a one-page document. We're about to go shopping for resources. And we're hopeful that we can begin construction of at least one soccer field that's designed, or all 6, sometime in the next fiscal year. But so the challenge is identifying a task that's achievable within 12 months, or a piece of a larger task that's achievable within 12 months that can be measurable. And we're happy to facilitate any questions that you have as we get into this process. Brenda, we'll skip on the dots for now, but let's distribute all of the notepads and pens. So we have custom cut 11-inch by 11-inch pads of paper and some large, thick pens to help us read what you write. We're going to rely on you to interpret what your writing tells us. I know not everyone's writing at least with my writing, I'm not sure I can always read. People can't always read what I write. I may have to interpret it for them. So we're going to begin and we'll check in maybe about 15 minutes and take a time check in. But if we need a lot more time, we'll take all the time that's needed to make sure all of your ideas are captured. Each idea, please place each idea on a separate piece of paper. And then we'll invite council members to share once we get to that point. Any questions before we get started?
So for the previous, or our core 3, are we adding on if it's continuing, or are we going based off, or these new ideas?
These are new ideas primarily. So we'll continue, and that's a good question, because this was another issue last year. There were items that weren't finished, but we're going to make an assumption that either they're going to finish near the end of the fiscal year, or we're going to continue them regardless. So we're going to get them done. It might take, in fact, there are some things that on the IT front where it's taken different, we have to have a new hardware system in place before we can launch the software. So some of those things are sequential, but we will get things done that get on a work plan. Our objective is to try to get them done within 12 months. Sometimes it will take a little bit longer, but the focus today will be new ideas. Okay. And then what we're going to do is give you 5 different dots, and we'll walk through this exercise. Let me briefly mention that because when you vote, we're going to be voting with the red dots, the blue dots, and the chocolate brown dots. The red dots represent air. These are the most important priorities for you. You're going to only have 5 dots yourselves to place somewhere on that list of good ideas. These are the greatest importance. We can't live without air for very long. The next level of priority is water. Water is essential for life, but we can get by for a few days. These are needs, but not must-haves. They're important. The chocolate brown dots are wants. These are the nice-to-haves. They're valuable, but not critical. So that's essentially our currency that we'll be working with as we transition from the ideas, the sharing, and then eventually the voting. So with that, I'll pause, and we'll be available for questions. Yes?
I'd like to say on the current list, if you have updates, can we send them to you, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, because I noticed there's a couple things we could have expanded on or updated, so we can forward those to you. Thank you.
And this entire document, Q3, will be coming to you on April 8th. No, so I think we're ready to move into the next phase. These have stickies on the back. I think what we found last year is if you stick them to the one above it, it may take the whole row down. So we'll probably have to stick them up individually. But each council member will take a roving mic. Where's our second roving mic? And then they will introduce each of their ideas, put them up on the wall, and we're going to start with our mayor. And if you need any assistance, for example, I think last year we tapped Chief Ariano for if you'd like to use something at the top of the wall here, he will assist you.
How far can you reach up, Brenda?
And we'll probably want to go as far to the left as we can there.
We'll start with Brenda, and if we need Chief Ariano, we'll go to Chief Ariano for the high ones. So, okay. Earlier last year, I wanted to talk about instituting some kind of a hotline or reward program for violations that we see in action, like dumping and graffiti and things like that. And after further thought, I thought it might be kind of dangerous if we have some kind of a reward program, because people might be getting in other people's faces and, just to get that reward money. So I would like to see a hotline for violations. People could do this like if they see it in progress, or they could report it after the fact, because we have such great technology now in our police department that with the flock cameras and the LVT, all this, they can go back and find make, model of car, license plates, whatever. So I would like to see a hotline for violations of things that we don't want to see in our city. And I don't want to inundate our city with signs, but several of these I think would help. And it was pointed out by Chief Ariano. I asked him this morning. He said, yes, this would help the police department in their prosecution of people that are making the violations. So in key intersections, places that we know that we have panhandlers frequent, I would like to see some kind of a sign that says what the penalty is for panhandling. So it's easier. I mean, they can sometimes people are, in other cities I have seen people standing next to the sign. So if we get the person and the sign, it's easier to convict. Okay, and another thing that I am all about is cleaning up our city. And I've mentioned this before. So along with the panhandling, I'd like to see a violation sign for littering and what the results would be. And again, I don't want them all over town, but major corridors. And then if people see them, throughout the city, then it'll probably stick in their mind. So I would like to see litter signage. Let me take it off. Okay, and keep our beautiful signs, the last one, okay? So I've seen other cities that they have, now with our branding, we're gonna have a nice logo that's gonna be consistent, we hope. So along with that, we could do something like keep our city beautiful. I've seen some that have like two parts, above it says, please don't litter, and then down below it'll say, keep your city beautiful. And if you put the word your in there, I think it has ownership more than, there's another one that says keep our community clean, and another one that says keep your city clean. So again, I don't want to inundate them, but just to keep people aware that this would be a good thing for our city. One of our constituents pointed this out to me some time ago, and I go down Devonshire a lot, and Fire Station 3 is over there, and that intersection at Coston and Devonshire, for some reason, has a lot of accidents. And just last year, there was a death there with a expectant mother that was almost ready to deliver her baby. And there's a big dip in that road, and there's also the fire station there. So there's, in other cities, I see warning signs that says fire station. So people are aware that there's vehicles entering, exiting, and that they need to keep that clear. So I think we could use some fire station signs and maybe a few more dip signs where we know there's critical intersections. And that might be it. No, one more after that. And that goes along with it. Oh, I got two. I'm on a roll. Okay, traffic calming plan. So we know that there's one that we just did for Stony Mountain, but there's another area, and one of my constituents has been to city council meetings year after year after year. She keeps calling me, and I keep telling her, well, we're going to do something. We're going to have a plan. There's going to be a process, that you need to go through, and there has to be a study and everything. So we need a traffic calming plan. And yes, it'll take some staff work, but I think it'll be a one-time thing, and then we'll have it in place. And the last one is a fun one. Along with the arts and culture, we mentioned this, but it really hasn't been brought forward that much because they're concentrating on other things like murals and the mastodons. But I'd like to see concerts in the park. So many cities have these, and they bring out the people. It's a nice thing to get everybody together. Depending on how you do it, it could be a fundraiser for a nonprofit if they sell beverages and food or something like that. So I think it would be a good community event. So I would like to see concerts in the park. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions about any of the mayor's ideas here? Any clarification? Okay, pretty straightforward. Now we're moving on to Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick.
Okay, so I've been bringing this up at council, and it's been something that has been brought up to me by constituents, and it's something that I see in my neighborhood. It's been occurring for years. Is solutions to the RVs, trailers, et cetera, that are stored on our city streets but move a few feet every 72 hours. They know how to play the system. There's people living in these. It's a problem throughout the city. It's a problem in every city, but we need to find a way to address that 72-hour. And one of the things I mentioned is maybe having a requirement on how far they move it. I know we have restrictions or things that we need to comply with, but it is problematic, and it does have an aesthetic impact to the city. So I would actually like to see something, if we can do something about that issue. The next one is potentially the creation of an economic development committee and/or I think the community committee. I can't remember what I called it, but I think I brought it up before. Because we're focusing on economic development, the city that I work for, we have an economic development committee, and we have certain requirements. Is people that live in the city, people that someone from the school district, someone from the college, someone business owners, and it's nice to kind of bring either planning projects and not trying to add more time onto things, or some of the things that like Ben's working on, and running that through the committee so that we can get feedback from the stakeholders. And again, on the community meeting or community committee is having a community of our citizens where we can bring items up, or they can bring items up that are brought forward to the appropriate decision makers. My next one is streamlining the development process. I'm a planner. It's something that, complaints that I receive all the time in my profession. Things take too long, but if there's some way we can work on streamlining certain processes, I think that goes a long way. trying to, rebuild our reputation as a community that welcomes development, smart development, the right development. I want to be clear on that. But if we can look at some way to help that process, or set, for certain projects, have kind of a streamlined process. The next thing, and this wouldn't be for every department, but when I worked for the County of Riverside, we did cross-training. When I was a land use technician working the front counter, I cross-trained with building technicians, so I knew what they were looking for, and I was able to help people at the counter, just because knowing I'm not giving building information, but I think the more cross-training that we can do with our staff, like building and code and planning and building and public works, I think that kind of goes a long way. It also helps show our staff that we're engaged with them and we want to provide them with opportunities. And it improves customer service. And that segues into my next one, which is increasing opportunities for staff to grow. One of the things at my current city, we are encouraging our staff to grow and present at council and doing things, again, building our staff up and also creating succession opportunities. Everyone's going to grow and retire, and so I think getting people comfortable with kind of moving up in the organization and getting your staff ready for the next step, that goes a long way, and that gives them exposure to us, and that lets them know kind of our thought process, but it also gives us exposure to the staff, and I think that's great. We kind of see the same people, and that's great, but I know we have a lot of great staff out there, and they're the experts on certain areas, so I think that that's important. Again, trying to increase the employee morale, and again, it's giving our residents, our employees the opportunity, and like I said, it helps them grow, and I think the exposure is great. And I know every council member has a certain resident or several residents that call them on the regular, and continually, I explain how the process works, and I still get the calls. So I think that maybe having like an online educational area for citizens, like what happens when this occurs and what the process is. So, a lot of mine are, there's a lot of tumbleweeds in a property not too far from me. And there's a certain process that we go through, the RVs. And so I think maybe doing fact sheets or something like that, to where a citizen could say, oh, well, if somebody's living in their RV, kind of these are the steps in process, not calling and filing a complaint and not really understanding the process and the restraints that the city has in doing those, and what things can be problematic for staff. It is government, and there is due process. So, yep. And that's all I had. Yeah, I should have been more prepared, right?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Councilmember Males.
All right.
May I make a comment?
Now with the ugly writing.
Yes, actually.
I'm a man.
Quick
I
questions.
don't write well.
Just quick questions and any clarifications on Mayor Pro Tem's
Okay,
comment?
I know this is heartburn for Pro Tem, but number 10 does address the city development review process, and we have an RFP, and that's in progress.
It's not about the review process, it's about streamlining it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done that.
Mayor, you may be thinking of the contract with Citygate,
Correct.
where you've been interviewed probably. We are expecting recommendations that should be addressing streamlining issues as well. So we can talk about whether it deserves its own item here at some point. But I am anticipating recommendations on streamlining, efficiencies. We're already moving forward on technology investments that will make things a lot easier. And as well, that study will provide some recommendations on staffing relative to the volume of projects that we're seeing.
And then I was looking for arts and culture on here, and I couldn't find it. I looked out like about 3 times, but I found it now after the fact. It did address concerts in the park, but we haven't done anything on that yet. So I don't
Right.
know if you want to leave it up there or take it off.
Well, I think it should stay up there. Now it's something that I know we've done partial work on that specific item. We're down now 2 people in the manager's office, so without a parks department, it gets a little hard. But I think the concerts concept is something for more of a summer, potentially, summer type of an event. So we are still able to add that, but it would carry over into the next year. Okay.
Now
Councilmember
may I
Mills.
proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, first I have on here is the firefighters' emergency preparedness. Local hazard mitigation plan update, emergency operations plan update, and also to be proactive with our vacant buildings and weed abatement, and maybe we can allow our nonprofits or any other entity that may want to start a business to actually work out of our vacant buildings. I don't know if there's an insurance cost or if they can pick up the insurance, but it'd be nice to utilize our vacant buildings instead of letting the homeless take over the vacant buildings and start fires in them. So that's just one of.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in that one, though. But
Yes, yes.
Can we? I think emergency preparedness plans is sort of a core component to that. And when we come back, after the voting, and we wouldn't disagree that we need some plans to be updated. So those are good ideas. And through the voting process, we will eventually rewrite some of the ideas to make them as crisp as possible, as clear as possible. But I think your message is, if I get it right, emergency preparedness, we have to update some plans. And oh, by the way, there's sort of a second idea here with the vacant buildings that
Should
we
probably
have.
went on its own page.
Right. So maybe we can separately have you write the vacant building items down after,
Yeah.
and we'll capture that as well.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification. And the second one is police. Homeless are 24/7, and right now we just have, I think, our Arrow group that works 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. So I'd like to see a second Arrow team, specifically for the weekends, if possible. I know it takes money, and you said don't put things on here that take money, but that's important to me because I live in the city of Hemet, and I'm always in the city of Hemet driving around. And a lot of times I'll get in my new car and drive just to be in the car. And I do a see-click fix on certain areas, and I go up and down Florida and Devonshire and thank you, and Stetson and so on. And things that I see, I'll try to see-click fix it and make sure that we can get problems solved right away. So moving on, library. Library is important to us. We're open for an extra day, which is good because kids need to learn. When I was a kid, I really never went into a library, and shame on me. But I don't believe that the library should be asking for grants for security. What happened? Am I on? You're on. Okay. My hearing aids went beeped on me. So I think that we should find the money somewhere in whether it's general fund or some other fund, and actually pay for the security instead of them having to be without security and looking for grants and not getting it until the grants come into effect. So I'm with you, Kathy. Now this falls under police or city. Bring the homeless task force that we have now, I think, paying $1 million plus. Out there. I think we should bring that in-house and work closer with our nonprofits and incorporate them with the in-house task force. And that's just something that I've always thought we should do. So we have a great leader here that handles the task force, and we can bring it under police or bring it under the city manager's office, but I think it'd be important to cut our costs there. This one here is working closer with both chambers, having monthly roundtables, roundtable discussions to include business owners, launch a business advisory committee, and I think we had that before, but we haven't done it lately. And then what happened to our concierge service? Do we have that yet, or is it still in the makings?
Ben is essentially our concierge. But there are additional ways that we can continue to build out that concept.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Homelessness in the park. Have we even got our signs made, and have they been installed at the parks yet? We put a code in on sleeping in the parks and in businesses last year, back in October, November, and here we're in the third month of 2025. So it's been a half a year, and we haven't had our signs implemented yet. And that's, to me, very important, so we can make sure we clean out our park, especially Weston. I drive by Weston Park a lot, and they're always setting up camp over there, and you know, it's actually for the kids and for our citizens to enjoy, but yet the homeless took it over. So that's just one of my pet peeves right there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for trying to read my writing. I appreciate it. Love you all. Next.
Okay, Councilmember Males, in terms of the signs, they've been ordered, and what's the status on the signs, Noah?
I think I provided you an update about a week ago. I haven't heard anything since. They should be delivered, I believe, supposed to be by the end of this week or next week.
Okay, so the signs are imminent. It may not be something that you, if they're imminent, would you still want it on next year's work plan? If we're going to be installing them in the next 30 days? But before the end of the fiscal year,
If they're not installed
for sure.
by 2026, yes, I'd like it on the next year's plan.
No, they should be installed within the next month
Few
or so.
weeks, yeah.
Yeah, next couple weeks. Okay.
Guess we can pull that down then.
Okay, Councilmember Lodge. Oh, we're gonna go in order of seniority, I
He
guess.
wants to be last.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let you pull that one. Okay, yep. The first one is shade structures at city parks and the pocket parks, and maybe even at city facilities to, I mean, if people want to sit outside at picnic benches for lunch or whatever, we need to facilitate it. And I know the library has some, Weston Park, or not Weston, Mary Henley has the shade structure. And I think we need shade structures, that's hard to say, especially around the children's equipment and the play equipment in parks, because that summer sun is brutal on little bottoms when they go down a slide or sit on a swing. The second one, Noah already knows this, is with the rejuvenation and restructure of Weston Park, I want splash pads for the kids, for the summer, for whatever. It also will keep the homeless out of there unless they want to take showers. Could be. So this is, I guess, is public safety. And I've noticed that a lot of our stop signs are fading, and also people really don't pay attention to them. One blasted on Kimball yesterday through Harvard Street as I was going to walk across, and the car on the other side, who was stopped at a stop sign, blasted his horn. This guy didn't pay any attention. He just zoomed right in front of me, and he had a stop sign. So they have the little lights that go around the stop signs that really get people's attentions. I think they're probably more inexpensive than traffic accidents. So I think it's something we need to look at. The other is all-way stop signs at our current two sign intersections. And downtown, that's one of them. I know a lot of them on Mayberry and Whittier and Johnston are two-way, and there's a lot of accidents and a lot of near accidents at all of them. We're all into signs on this one. But this one is different. It's on our list, I think, but we need to start the community garden and maybe work with the school district and faith-based groups to get the kids involved, seniors involved, get everybody involved. Because if we start one, maybe, excuse the comment, it'll grow. And different faith-based communities, churches, whatever, they'll start their own. And I know the high schools do Hemet High has a garden out there. West Valley is growing their vineyard. And that's good. So, this is also something, the new business contribution, and I don't know if it goes as an ordinance or into DIF funds or anything, but new businesses coming to town to contribute dollars to the arts and culture group so that we can fund art in the park, we can fund murals on buildings, we can continue funding our Valley of the Mastodons and March of the Mastodons, and get the arts and culture program going and instill arts, culture, and history in our people. This is a Tom Lodge one. Shorter street lights between the taller street lights. You know, some of the places in town, we've got beautiful new tall street lights, but then it goes black between them. So if we can get the solar ones in between, it would be so much safer, and people do walk at night. They dart out in the street, and when it's dark, you cannot see them. The digital sign in front of the library. Priority, it's a message board. We need to have that thing fixed. Goes along with the time and temperature at the city. They've both been out for a long time. More signboards to give information on events and street conditions. These are the movable on little trailers, the message boards. And the library opens 6 days a week. I appreciate that we are now open 5, but we need to be open 6, and especially during the summertime to have programs for the kids. That's it.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember Krupa. Are there any questions or clarifications? All right. Councilmember Lodge.
Well, I know that Brenda can read hieroglyphics because she's read my writing. So hopefully the rest of you can. I've been here for a bit, and I've seen the same old neighborhoods look like garbage, and they still do, and nothing changes. So the whole thing, would you hold that, please? The whole thing of finding the owner doesn't really work because it just goes on as taxes, and we never see anything. I propose that we start finding property management companies directly. I don't know what the legality is on that. Stephen? Okay. And that also not only goes for, I'd like to see a residential have a 30-day fine limit, but retail have a 7-day on the trash that is all over their parking lots, and make them clean it up, and we can make some money off of them. Going along with our Mayor Pro Tem's thing on the RV, Stephen and I have been talking about abandoned cars and whatnot, and so that's tagging along with yours to get the RVs and all these, because we've got a lot of abandoned cars just sitting on the streets that are, you can tell by the cobwebs and the flat tires, and they, you know, come on, registration's 9 years out and all this stuff. It's never going to write again.
Could we pause on that one just for a second? I want to make sure that when we get to the voting space, we can clarify that it's abandoned cars, and you're talking about ticketing them, right? Or removing them?
Hauling them off.
After notice, of course.
Well, yeah, after a quick, spray job on.
Well, why don't we make sure everyone knows that that's what cars will be? There's actually an indirect way of addressing that, and that could be to consider implementation of weekly sweeping and citation at the same time. It's something that we're likely headed to anyway from an environmental perspective. In San Jacinto, they have a contract firm that follows the sweeper around, and they will cite people and issue citations. The citations often offset the increase in the frequency of the street sweeping. So not only do you get an environmental benefit, you're able to sweep the streets for the first time, you're able to remove the unsightly cars, and you can generate revenue that offsets the operation. and we're going to be regulated to do it anyway. So I want to open, I'm going to make sure that you all know that that is an additional but related idea related to cars.
If I can just jump in for mine, I know that the issue has been and is an issue in other jurisdictions is not having a towing facility that can accommodate RVs and trailers in these larger vehicles. So that's, like I said, I think that's not anything that is unique to Hemet, but I think that that's more problematic. I mean, I know we have tow contractors for vehicles, but I don't know if we have one for RVs and those larger vehicles, and they're hard to find.
Thank you.
That is an issue with the RVs, and so I think we should put on there. That is an issue with the RV specifically, what Carol mentioned, and I think what we should do, because I would love this to be on the strategic plan for this year coming up, is new process for RVs specifically, or larger vehicles, because the tow yards will not hold on to them. They don't want to scrap them, so you're seeing them back on the streets for $100 too. They're selling them really cheap just to get them off their lots. But I think there's some things that the city can do on our end to help the tow companies out to basically destroy them. These are RVs that are barely functioning, so a new tow process for RVs I think would be a great topic.
I know a couple of yard operators that we'll see what they can say about just taking them out and crushing them, and get rid of them.
Can it be like all Breaking Bad,
Yeah, I think on our end,
just destroy it.
it's they don't want to. For some reason, I don't have all the details. They don't want to crush them or destroy them. There's some legalities and whatnot. But if we can get someone on our end to sign, there's a specific word for it, Stephen, you may know, to destroy these vehicles. I think on the city side, that's what we need to work on, so that we can sign that paperwork for the tow companies so they can do that.
So I'm seeing, and perhaps, the city manager touched on it with the street sweeping. I'm seeing some really good synergies with several of the ideas that are coming from council members. And I think that, one of the things we were already planning on looking at was tow services generally. And how does that fit into our plan on street sweeping? How does that fit into our plan on abandoned cars? How does that fit into RVs? And I think that we can, find those sort of common nexus, hit that major project, and we can knock several of these out at one time. So, like I said, I told you all, like, this meeting's my favorite meeting of the year, because I see where all your head's at, and I start seeing what ideas on the legal side, and then obviously staff, we can, move forward with hitting several of these at once.
And I have one more. There is a program out there that's a city employee can get certified to have basically prisoners do city work. I don't see why we don't implement that to get an employee certified. It's a one-day course, and have them certified. There has to be a van in the city yard or something, and I know there's a trailer running around, and just have maybe 2 people certified and do it 7 days a week, and just have a crew of 10 prisoners, instead of them being in jail, picking up garbage in the city. It would improve it so much. Is that feasible?
Yes, Councilmember Lodge, I'm going to have the police chief talk a little bit about that.
Again, I wish it was that easy. We do have people certified. I've sent several from the police department to get certified. So we started the program. We're working with the sheriff's department, and they're not prisoners, they're work release. So it's like you and I, maybe we got a DUI, so we're working off our time. That's what that is. And it's not as strict as we would like it to be. They can show up. They can choose a work area, so it doesn't have to be Hemet. You would think that the people who may be on this work release who live in Hemet will do it. And it's not Mary Jo and Jane will show up every week on this date. It's when they want to show up. So we have somebody on standby just waiting every Wednesday, and half the time we get one person or none, most of the time. And we've been working with Noah. We were hoping that we would do that, get a van, put them in there, go on Dom Nagoni and start picking up trash, but it's not working out as smoothly as we would like. So we do have something in process, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
We'll arrest more people.
We have some painting opportunities for graffiti artists, right? cover up the graffiti. All right. We're at a point where we're getting ready to vote. I think we're going to need a little more space on some of the ideas that fill the entire square. So if I can have some assistance, Brenda, perhaps, or Christian, can we move some of the squares that are almost fully, if there's no room for 5 dots, let's say, let's move on to the, move some of those to the right, just to create a little more space for the council members. I see a lot of synergies between different ideas here, so we want to pause and talk a little bit about that. And Councilmember Krupa has a question or a comment.
Can I add one more?
Councilmember Krupa would like to add one more.
I just remembered this. And it's money. It's raising money, not spending money.
That's acceptable.
Is there a microphone? This is an idea that San Jacinto has, and it's an asphalt replacement fund for new housing developments. And it goes to the developer, but then to the properties owners, apparently, however they work that, and I've talked to Noah about it. And it's a fund that grows. It's like a vehicle replacement fund. But when the asphalt in the new developments need to be replaced, there's also already a fund with money in it that augments Measure A funds or the street funding for the city. So it doesn't cost us anything, but we have to incorporate it into our ordinances or building plans or development plans or something. So that's this one.
Great.
Raise money for the city.
All right, I see a lot of, Joe has another idea. You have a new idea? Or you're clarifying that second idea? Okay. So I'm certainly seeing a lot of quality of life type issues here. Good, solid theme on quality of life, and certainly some opportunity for us. I think most of the costs here are manageable, right? Anything that's related to the costs. So those are, I think that's helpful. A lot of good ideas out here. Any questions or clarifications from the council on any of the ideas that you see up here? You'll have to, it will take you some time to study all these as you decide how to vote. We'll want you to carefully look at all those ideas before adhering that dot. They're hard to take away once we vote. But any questions or clarifications from your colleagues?
Can some of them be consolidated?
I think there could be an opportunity. I want to talk a little bit about that. There may be a few of these that we should try to consolidate before we vote. Do you have a recommendation?
Yeah. The stop signs and the flashing stop signs, intersections, all way and flashing, I mean, that's kind of the same thing. It's traffic signs.
Including the dip sign, for example? Dips as well. There were some warning signs on dips, fire station.
It's
sign upgrades.
Improved signage and safety.
Okay.
It really is. It's all signage.
So I need some help, Christian, consolidating the dip sign, or we just write up a new one that says signs, including dips, safety, stop signs, and then we'll remove the duplicate.
Even to put the signs on the pavement, like keep clear, fire station ahead.
Is that acceptable, Mayor? Because you had a number of ideas on signs.
They have one by Station 3.
Yeah.
There's room for like 3 cars by the stop sign, but people don't pay attention to it, and they come into that zone anyway.
They don't pay attention to signs.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to ensure a number of good votes, Mayor, because we can consolidate your ideas into one single, and rather than dilute the votes on signage, we're enhancing the voting opportunities on signage. Okay. Christian, there's a panhandling sign to your left and a litter sign. Both of those can be consolidated into that sign. So-
Can we keep those two separate because they're not really traffic or safety related?
I guess my concern is if you have, I mean, I think you're going to be able to do this, but if you consolidate this and we agree that everything under the sign column, if it's okay with the council, all the ideas that have been mentioned, whether it's panhandling, litter, stop sign with lights, dip sign, all goes into one square, then it's you're going to have other votes for other items. And I think given the total volume of ideas here, it'll be okay to do that. But I want us to remove the other two from the wall. Remove the panhandler and the litter just to make sure the idea is captured on the remaining square. Are there other opportunities for consolidation?
The cars can go with the RVs. Pretty much the same thing.
Where is the RV one? I see the cars.
Right at the top, second one in, very top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, leave that one up there and just put cars on the bottom, or, cars, please.
Christian, there's Keep Our City Beautiful
Brenda?
sign also.
Take that one off.
We're definitely all in on signs.
Yeah, we are. Well, it's not like you haven't.
But
been
it's
warned,
all
stupid.
part of communication.
One thing on cars, which we just moved up there, I think one of the concepts was just the towing aspect and removal of cars that are abandoned on the streets.
Yes.
Is there openness or interest in taking a step down the road that I was mentioning regarding street sweeping? Okay, can we write street sweeping or weekly residential street sweeping? No, just a new square that would be weekly residential street sweeping and parking enforcement.
Parking code enforcement. Yeah.
Right. And as the city attorney was telling us a few meetings ago, there's some technology today that you put on the side of those vehicles, and the AI can do a lot of work for us.
Now, can we put in, I know it's a 72-hour parking and you have to move it 3 feet, I think it is. Can we do a local resolution to that and just like, instead of the 3 feet, you've got to be moving 680 feet, you know?
So I know we're going to have to research that same issue when we're looking at the RV thing. So I think we can research it in the context of all vehicles, about what we can do to ensure that we don't have vehicles just staying on the street in one spot forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because let's face it, until we clean up the town, we're not going to get businesses attracted. So I think that's the first step.
It definitely helps with business investment when the town is clean, and I do share concern about parked vehicles. There are certain streets that the cars never move, and that means we're never sweeping it. It becomes unsightly. We're not, the ticket revenue is going to be, there'll be likely an implementation of that we would want to make, so people get some warnings first before there's actually money. But that'll be part of an implementation plan down the road with street sweeping. And I think there's, a few of us are going to have a conversation with representatives of CR&R soon, and we can integrate street sweeping into that conversation and talk about how that could transition from monthly to weekly and understand the financial implications of that.
Since we're talking about street sweeping and having code enforcement behind them, ticketing them, why don't we just open our own towing company? Buy 2 trucks, one that hauls the RVs or big, well, just let me finish. One that hauls cars only, put it in Public Works, and then just one of our properties we own, put a fence around it and make money that way. Because after a couple of years, we'll be positive on making the money. So, but just an idea.
Yeah, Brenda, I was gonna say we could take that one off, I think, because city cleanup, can't we take that off because it's too general?
Well,
We're trying to clean it
I
up
think-
with like litter, parked cars, all that kind of stuff.
Tom, were you referring to finding property owners within a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
When, in terms of city cleanup?
No, not the property owners, property management companies,
Property
the local
management.
ones, because they're not doing their job. And the owners get fined, it just goes on their taxes, and we don't see anything. If we can find the property management companies, is that feasible?
It's certainly something we can research as we're looking
Let's-
at the overall ordinance. Yeah.
I hate to make work for you, but.
No,
you know,
I
sure.
mean, typically when we write these ordinances, we define the responsible party very broadly to include the property owner, anyone with possession, and it could include property management companies. We've included that in other ordinances as well. I just don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Oh.
So we'll research it, but I think it's possible.
Okay, perfect.
I think the mayor has a recommendation on one of the.
They took it off because, I mean, we're more specific on cleaning up the city, so that one's just too general, I think.
That was the chief addressed that. That was on the inmate prisoner.
Oh, is that for the prison one?
Like, instead of
Thank
them
you.
going to the dump to clean it up, they come to the city.
Well, then you
Right.
need to be more specific on that one Post-it note thing, if you're gonna keep it.
So I will tell you, we're actually already doing that. We've actually met with the DA's office to understand if we can potentially even run legislation that would compel judges to assign people to Hemet.
Right.
And when we talked to representatives in Sacramento, what they told us was, what's really broken right now? Have you talked to the judges and told them that you have a program that they can send people to? And we said, well, we haven't really taken that step yet. So we are now taking that step and talking actively to the jail about how we can identify some people that need or have sentences for community service and how we can direct them to Hemet. So I think there's more work that we can do on that space. We had to train some of our staff, which we actually did, right? And so we're prepared to receive people that have community service hours. We just haven't been able to deploy that in a serious way yet. But it's certainly an opportunity, and we think they're great locations that people can help us with, not only helping us with some of the cars that we take care of, cleaning them, but also picking up trash on certain corridors.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other feedback or consolidation opportunities before we get started? Okay. There's our guide back on the screen. We have 5 air must-haves. These are essential, of the greatest importance, followed by blue, followed by the brown is nice to have. These are valuable but not critical. Doesn't mean they're not going to make it onto the work plan, right? I think with these numbers here, this is something we can probably accommodate all of the ideas here in a single work plan. We just want to make sure that we understand your ranking and priority. And it's okay to, when we looked at the documentation coming out of this meeting last time, there were some blues and some reds on different items. There were some reds and browns on certain items. And we'll share with you what that looks like, and then we'll make our educated guess about, does this reflect your level of priority? And then you'll have an opportunity to adjust that at a future council meeting. So we'll capture how many dots of different colors show up on each of these, and then we'll build a draft for you to react to at a later date with information on how the voting went.
So we're just tagging what we put up there, not anything else on the other end?
No, everything in green is going. Actually, let's do these. I'm sorry, we forgot about those. Let's put these 5 over here. I'll introduce these. These are 5. Last year I brought 11 ideas. This year I'm bringing you 5 ideas besides street sweeping. I do like the idea of street sweeping. So the first one is inventory all council adopted policies on the city website and identify policy gaps. So when I arrived here, I started asking questions such as, well, do we have a policy for that? Why isn't it on the website? Right now, we don't have our policies on our website. So I have a folder in my computer that every time we adopt a policy, I'm floating it into that folder. What we really need to do is organize all of our policies on the website and by theme. So you imagine we may have 10 financial policies. We may have other types of policies, public works type policies, labor policies, anything that the council adopts. I think it should be transparent and on our website. It helps us remember what they are, and then it inventories these so we don't forget what's happened over the years. So this will be a bit of a challenge for the city clerk to go back and do some research on policies, but then we can identify where we have gaps. Once we identify all these, we're going to find that we have gaps in certain areas, and we're going to want to pursue a policy on whatever that is, right? I imagine on the financial side, this will reveal some areas of opportunity where we can identify a couple of additional financial policies to help guide the work that we do. So that's the idea. I would welcome your votes. On construction of DVL soccer fields, this is something that we're going to be doing. It's really going to turn into the CIP. One thing I didn't mention is our CIP is not going to be, we're not going to see the preliminary version of that until late this month. So in a few weeks, we're going to have the number of and the type of CIPs planned for next year. We'll share that with you. In last year's work plan, we added a category that said complete all 32 CIPs. So with your permission, we'll complete all the CIPs that NOAA will come up with that we'll be sharing with you relatively soon. But the DVL soccer fields are basically a shovel-ready opportunity for us. I think the Station 2 expansion will become a shovel-ready project in about 6 months. And those are opportunities to track down grants, use our new consulting firm to help us open doors to money. Third one there in the middle, design shovel-ready expansion plan for fire station training facility complex. So Station 4 has the beginning of a fire training complex. We see that as an economic development opportunity. We're having conversations with the airport staff. We're going to have lunch in a couple weeks, and they have fly-in type of events. Well, could one of the fly-ins have some kind of integration with the fire training complex? Or can we expand that complex so that there are multi-day training opportunities for firefighters from the region that require them to, or beyond, right, where it might fill up some hotel rooms down the road. So we see that as an economic development opportunity and also an asset to help our firefighters. So, and it should be very attractive for outside funding if we can find some community benefit earmarks from electeds. On the left, bottom left, complete 5-year long-range financial forecast. I think we're planning to do that, but I don't want to see it lost. I think there's some value in keeping that coming back to you every year to keep looking forward. And finally, I think we're planning to bring this to you on your next budget workshop, what we call a municipal financial health diagnostic. So you heard about this. It was referenced quickly by Michael Coleman, who is an advisor to the League of California Cities when we went to the event in Garden Grove. He mentioned this briefly, but this is sort of a report card on how we are operating financially, and it will provide you some helpful feedback. It was designed for council members, and so we're going through a process right now of answering a number of questions that will result in a report card that we share with you at the next budget workshop. But I think that's something that should come back every year, and something that we'll do anyway, but it's up there for your consideration. All right. With that, we'll let you vote. We want you to talk amongst yourselves, collaborate on how those dots go, and then we'll look at what your voting exercise produces.
wants something, he doesn't care what we tell him, he's gonna do it.
I think it is. You've got a citizen committee? Well, and yeah. Right here. Oh, yeah. Because these are.
You must have heard from them too.
To Noah, and he goes, incorporate that.
And if we did that.
All right, fine, we'll do my Form 7.
Because they don't like me now.
That's where you went. I'm like going through my list of things that like I can get done, but I
There's always people walking.
apparently I'll know this by ordinance. So I have to
Somebody just to go around and say, are you okay? Deliver pens and paper.
Right. I think we're finished with our voting. I don't see any hanging chads. I know, that's still alive. I want to ask our council members, how did that exercise feel? Do you see some trends here? What is you've been looking at this very carefully. What are your takeaways when you see the voting on the wall?
I see we need to clean up our city, and somebody else said it too. If we clean up the city, we'll bring in better businesses, and that's what we really need. We need to attract new businesses that are quality businesses, and I want to see our residents restore pride in our community, and just work together and keep our city clean. And the other thing is quality of life. We want things for our residents to do that are enjoyable and you know, we want more community involvement. So I think it's like cleaning up our city and community involvement and just activities for them to do, so.
I would agree with the mayor. That's what I saw is cleaning up the community, and I think that that's paramount because that will translate into other opportunities again with business, but also with having events and getting our residents out in the community to where they feel safe. It does. It seems like we've kind of, you know, aligned and are thinking the same things, but that's my biggest thing is focusing on cleaning up the city, but also definitely looking at our, you know, financial health. And so I think that 5-year financial forecast is very important for us, especially, you know, our forecast changes every year and we need to plan ahead. But I would concur with the mayor.
Every year, we talk about this cleaning up the city. I hear it every year. And we've been getting better. The city's been getting cleaner. But we have to continue on and to where next year or the year after, we don't bring it up because we've done such a great job. But this is every year we have the same conversation. So,
Thank you.
Been attending council meetings for a couple of years, and it's true. It's the same thing keeps on coming up, but it's just not the main corridors. You know, we got to get like Elk and Latham and all the areas cleaned up, and we got to hold the property management companies responsible because the owners are usually absentee anyways. They hire the property management companies to do a job. I'd nail them. I mean, because it's their responsibility. And I would really like to see the old, what was it called? I'll think of it. It was a triangle. But the city had a program years ago on residential enforcement. If you were a gang member or whatnot, there was a whole, it's going back to the Brent Kane days. Yeah. Well, it wasn't Neighborhood Watch. It was.
And like the rental, like I know he would do trainings with
but it
like
was
the
for
property
the-
managers and.
So we're talking about the rental registration program, and let's talk offline because that's subject to some litigation.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
That's why we canceled it.
Yeah, the federal government got involved. We'll talk about it.
Never mind.
But it's a good program.
Yeah, it's a good program. Yeah.
Awesome program. You know, what I see up there is that, thank goodness, fewer things, and they all interrelate. This was easier this year. It's like, boom, boom, I needed more red, but you know, but so many of these ideas, and some of them are already in place, and it's just as a reminder. But the collaboration and partnership thing, I think Joe put it up here. That's yours, right? On economic development, which goes with Carol's. Back in the day, the chamber had the economic development committee of everybody. And I'll just say, when I was there in the 90s, I had my economic development, my business retention, we did at the chamber. And the economic development committee through the chamber got so big and so strong that they swung off on on their own and became the VEDC, the Valley Economic Development Council. Had their own paid director. Businesses were paying into it, and the county and the city paid into it, and they were bringing businesses into town. That was just great. Then the recession hit, everything went away. But that collaboration with businesses and with the chamber to work towards economic development and have a like mind, because when you're going here and you're going here and the city is over here, it doesn't work. So getting everybody on the same page and setting the priorities of what we're all going to go after. Because the city can go to ICSC and all of these things, but letter writing from people and other supportive businesses is where it's at to bring everything into town. So, and I like it, and you're right, cleaning up the community, getting the people involved and saying, this is our town, and we have to do neighborhood by neighborhood, and just say, let's do this beautification process, but you're the property owner, have some pride.
Well, there's definitely a clear theme here. I want to point out that Noah's very happy about the 4 red dots on asphalt. Kalina and Tiffany are happy that they didn't see any municipal financial health diagnostics. However, they didn't realize I had 10 red dots in my pocket, and it's on their work plan on Monday. But I think we have a really good foundation for building a plan that we're going to bring back to you. And so, speaking of that, let's transition to the next slide. On monitoring and reporting, you're familiar with this now because you're receiving quarterly updates from us, but we're going to build out something that looks just like last year's, which is today's document, but we're going to inventory all these, organize them. We'll have an opportunity to talk about ad hoc assignments. We're going to bring you quarterly updates. We try to do that the first meeting after each quarter ends, and so that's why April 8th is your next update on the current year plan. And that is how we're going to report our progress. On the next slide, the next steps.
Can I add
Sure.
to that? I don't hate to keep interrupting because I mentioned this either last year or the year before, that we get this reporting quarterly. But can we put it on the wall at City Hall? Can we put it on that TV that's there that this is what's been accomplished? Can we put it up in all of the city buildings that this is the progress we're making?
That's a
because
great idea.
employees need to know, people who come in need to know. We know, but that's just 5 people and staff that's involved. The people need to know these are the goals, this is what we're setting out, and this is where we are. We are making progress.
We can absolutely do that. That's a great idea. We have a number of televisions around City Hall, and I know that we can sort of set them up probably to move slowly through, right, Scott, where people can see it, or even have it even more interactive. We can talk about ways to do that, but that's a great idea. Thank you for suggesting that. So I think I think we're at a really good spot. We're going to bring these back. I can't promise you which council meeting. We have a little more time this year, but we're going to write all these up. We'll capture all the votes, and we'll be back in front of you probably a few meetings down the road. One of the other analyses that we will take a look at is understanding and estimating some costs associated with certain initiatives so that we can characterize that, and in the context of our budget discussions as that develops, there may be a need to integrate into the budget some recurring dollars, and then some of these ideas may be one-time in nature, but we'll need to take a careful look at all of these, make sure that, I think a couple of those ideas I thought we need to make sure that that's into the ongoing budget, as opposed to the operational side rather than the one-time nature. But we'll build that out, and you'll see that come back at future budget workshops and then in the draft budget.
Mark, I just wanted to, on the property management, if it does happen, we start finding those people, I'd like to see a very aggressive progression in the fines. Like, whatever, $1,000 to your next one is $5,000, if it's the same violation. So we hit them where it hurts.
So we'll have conversations with our city attorney as well as our code staff, and if there are adjustments to our code, we will bring those to you as part of that. What we're building here is July 1 forward, so we're going to stay focused on delivering some of the current year items that we still have a lot of work to do in the next 3 months, but as we build this out, we'll make sure that we're communicating for sure. So next slide, please. This is a concluding limerick, very important. As our meeting comes to an end, on each other we can depend. With tasks assigned and goals aligned, we'll reconvene as planned. ChatGPT is incredible, isn't it? What a philosopher. So just in wrapping up, it's been a really great morning. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you, staff, for being present and assisting, and also working on the current year work plan. I want to thank everyone that was helpful, that provided help today in setting up. We have HR, we have tech, IT, staff from the city manager's office that helped set up and design and lay out Public Works. But thank you, everyone, for your contributions today. And as they say, that's a wrap. I think we have a final slide here for the public. You can sign up for city updates by taking a look at that QR code. A link to our strategic plan. If you don't see it at City Hall in the future or at the library downstairs, you can find it directly through that link. And we also invite the community to adopt a street. We'd love to grow, whether you're a family, a business, or an organization, we'd love to invite you to be part of our Adopt a Street program. So thank you for your time this morning.
And there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned to the next city council meeting on March 25th, 2025. Thank you for joining us today. Good job. Good job, good job.